Hey everybody, this is Dr. Kristy Taylor, and we're back for another episode of the Career Coach RX Podcast. We have a great lineup for the month of December, and we are so excited today to host Mrs. Sonda Eunus. She is the founder and CEO of LMS Plus in Ocala, Florida, and she is quickly becoming known as the Ocala's Dancercise Queen. She is doing Dancercise throughout Ocala and hosting and soon to host classes in the greater Orlando area. And so we're going to talk about building your personal brand, some of the challenges associated with that. And then we're going to transition to actually following your passion and doing what you dream of. So, Sonda, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. It's been a delight to be able to kick this podcast off with a bang. And so go ahead and share a little bit about yourself and the work that you do.
Of course. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited about this. And I guess, where do I start? LMS Plus is a marketing agency. We specialize in event planning and marketing. And so it's different from most marketing agencies because we are more committed to that personal connection, that personal touch, building an actual genuine connection with people. And so from the event marketing side of it, we actually launched a free business networking group. It's a free open group. We are meeting 2 to 3 times a week, and everyone's welcome to join. It's not, restricted to one type of business or whatever it is. People come and go, and everyone just makes connections, becomes friends. Some people start dating, and then, people start businesses together. It's just been beautiful to see it happen. And we've been doing it since 2019. So a little bit before COVID is when we started with the events. And at that time, it was networking, but also a lot of trade shows, vendor expos, that type of events. And so we actually were in Orlando. I think that's when you and I connected, and we were in Orlando and Tampa and Gainesville, but then home base for me is Ocala. And so when COVID hit, we kind of stopped doing events and had to rebrand as a digital marketing agency, right? Then once COVID got done, we got back into doing events. And at this point, we're kind of doing both the digital marketing and the live marketing. But again, events is kind of what we're known for. And it's my passion as well. It's what I love doing. It's always meeting people, connecting with people, getting to know them. And so it's kind of evolved from just marketing to building connections. That's truly what I would say my business is. And that's why I changed the name officially from Leading Marketing Solutions to LMS Plus, because people know us as LMS. We've always been the LMS network. And then Plus, because we also do other stuff than just what people know us for as the network. And that's where we come in with the marketing. We also do a lot of business coaching, business strategy, business planning. As you mentioned, we do have our LMS 360 business program right now, and it's a free business curriculum that we are running. Pretty much anything you need to know to launch your business, to grow your business, hire employees, market, advertise, pretty much anything there is. Business A to Z is what we're covering. I'm covering my topics of expertise, which is networking, marketing, business strategy, the math, and then other people coming in who are going to be doing stuff that I'm not as equipped to speak on, such as the taxes and accounting and the legal and liability, risk management, all that kind of stuff. So
now, do people have to attend all of the events? Because I did read that you guys were offering a certificate, right? Like, how many of the events do they need to complete to be able to do it? And can you also share where you guys are going to be hosting these events?
Yes. Right now, I'm actually, this first cohort that I've launched, which is every Thursday at 12 o'clock, is being held at the 4 Ranch Clubhouse in Ocala. And we are meeting there from 12 to 2 p.m. Lunch is there, and we're actually going to be starting our first session this Thursday. So it's the 4th, 7th. And you don't have to attend every single one of them. People have the option. You can either go for the entire program and then have graduation, and there's additional perks that come with it. And then you're a part of our accountability group and all of that kind of stuff. And again, it's free, right? However, if you can't commit to coming every single time, you can also just drop in on the specific topics that you would like to learn more about.
Okay, so when we get to the end of the podcast, we're going to be talking a little bit about, and then if you're following us on live or you come across this video, all of Sonda's contact information is going to be in the description. And so the reason why today we're talking a little bit about personal and professional branding, as you know, I'm a career coach. I run Work Solutions. I really focus on working with clients one-on-one. And I've done a number of events over the past few weeks where we've had an opportunity to talk about networking and branding. There, in listening to you talk about your business, and we do know each other. And one thing that when we were doing the prep for this podcast today that I forgot to bring up, and you kind of just hit home on it, is that during this discussion today, we're going to definitely discuss the art of the pivot, right? Because I remember years ago when we both first started our business, we were both so focused on trying to build within the sector that we were working in, but we were both doing healthcare, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and you mentioned briefly that you expanded outside of healthcare and became really a full marketing solutions company, right?
Yes.
So, and the same with me, right? So most people know me as the healthcare career coach. The books that I've been written have all been designed to help people to really hone their skills and interview skills for healthcare. But even with recently, I just expanded with CareerCoachRx. Very, and it's more inclusive to be able to help more diverse groups and people from different career fields, right? So we're definitely going to touch on the art of the pivot, because some people are scared. I'm always telling people to take that jump, but some people are scared. Well, I only know how to do this, but it's just like launching this podcast, right? You have to start where you are and be willing to go with it. So, you talked a little bit about your passion, but I want to kind of expound on that, because we're going to talk about personal branding, and then we're going to really transition to following your passion. What really motivates you to specialize in this area of marketing and branding for individuals and business? And during our conversation, you also talked a little bit about why you feel like branding yourself, right, is more important. So I want to distinguish something, right? Because when I talk to clients, I'm branding you for your career, more like you're pursuing a job. So resume writing, career readiness documents. You're looking at it from the personal branding side of, this is a brand because this person is maybe a speaker or they own a business, et cetera, right? So why is this so important? Why did you say to me that it's more important for you to have your personal brand than the business brand, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because a person can have 10 businesses, right? Mm-hmm. Or a person can start with a business and then realize that that's not the business that they want to be in, or that business may fail, right? However, if, let's say, you start out and this is your first business and that's all people know you as, is that business name, but no one knows who's behind the business name. If that business flops, right, and then you have to start all over again, people aren't going to know who you are, right? However, if people know you, now you can have one business and then let's say something happens and for some reason that business doesn't work out. Or even if that business is going fantastic, but you decide to start a second one or a third one, people will always support you because you are a person. People become friends with you. People can't become friends with a business. They can like a business page. They can be a follower of a brand. They can engage with a brand, but they can't call a brand up for, dinner or talk to them or confess to them or, just share their passions. When they know you as a person, then they don't think of you as, oh, let me call her because I need a website. It's, hey, let me call her because I actually want to talk to someone who I know is going to listen and be there for me and tell me not what I want to hear, but actually advice that will help.
That's so right. Like, I think sometimes we forget the importance of personal relationships and building connections with people. So again, like when we're talking about networking, and honey, we have to hit that too, because you are also the networking queen in Ocala, right? You are building. You are a facilitator. You bring people together with these mastermind groups and different events that you're running in that area. And so let's talk about that. So you mentioned a little bit about as part of building your personal brand, it's about people getting to know you personally. Mm-hmm. And so guys, if you're tuning in and you're listening to this from a career perspective, meaning that I want to go in my career, maybe you're not starting a business, then this advice is still relevant, right? Because what it is that it's about you being able to network and build those personal relationships with people, because that's what's going to give you an opportunity. On the career side of the house, we call this a sponsor or a champion, right? Mm-hmm. It's a little bit more than mentorship, because, and if you followed me on TikTok, you've heard me say this before. The champion is the person who mentions your name in the room when nobody else is there. A mentor, they might know how to help you to navigate a situation, but the champion or sponsor is the person that's your advocate when you're in the room. And so with a company like LMS Plus, and with the way that Sonda builds connections, she's not only serving as a mentor for many people that are in the area who need her help and support, right, in her client base, she's also serving as that sponsor or champion, because she herself, she's a facilitator. She gets people in the room. And so let's talk a little bit about that. And then I want to kind of go back to personal branding and hit on some mistakes that people make. So I've seen advertisements that you do where you mentioned it earlier, where you run like these mastermind groups and these groups where you're bringing people together to facilitate connections. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of branding and how you go about that process and some of the events that maybe you have coming up that you're doing?
Yeah, of course. So the weekly events that we do, specifically Wind Down Wednesdays, are the ones that have been around since 2019. We've been meeting every Wednesday, 5 to 7 o'clock. We've moved around throughout a few different locations. Of course, we had to stop for COVID, and then we came back. We've done a few other different weekly events. We also are now doing a Tuesday morning and the Thursday business lunch one that I just mentioned. However, as of right now, because of the new business that I'll be mentioning later and us finally getting our own space, a lot of those events are actually going to be moved to the new space. And so that's why everything is a little bit on pause right now. However, with Wind Down Wednesdays, which are still going on every single week. Right now, we're meeting at Crazy Cucumber in Ocala. How it works is, again, everyone's welcome to come, right? There's no membership. No one pays to be there. They pay for their own food and drinks. And pretty much everyone comes and sits at our table. We sit in a circle, oval, whatever. We're all looking at one another. Mm-hmm. And one by one, everyone stands up. Sometimes they're just like, can I not stand up? And if they speak loud enough, I'm like, fine, whatever. But truly, standing up makes them feel more commanding of the crowd, right? It makes them feel like they need to speak up louder. Honestly, that's one of the biggest challenges is people don't know how to speak loudly. And half of my job is just telling them, speak up, we can't hear you. You know what I mean? So it's like, but also that comes with confidence, and it comes with feeling comfortable, truly, but regardless, whether they stand or not, they each get anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. We really don't limit it unless it just drags on and other people get bored. But we really want you to get into who you are. And it's not just, okay, my name is Sonda, I have a marketing agency, and we don't necessarily even care too much about everything that you do with your business, right? Sure, we want to know what makes you different. What are the services that you're providing? What are the areas that you serve, right? Because we may need your services, or we may know people who do. So we still want that information. But at the same time, we also want to know who you are as a person, right? So we also encourage people to get a little more personal, a little more intimate. What we have is a weekly prompt, is what we call it. And
that's great.
It's fun, except for when I literally have no ideas for the prompt, and then I try other people come up with them, and they're like, sometimes they come up with some really great ones, and then other times they're like, no. But it's, we try to make them different. So it could be something like, what is one of your greatest fears that you are finally ready to overcome? And then we push each other and we remind each other to overcome those fears, because we see each other, right? It's not a one-time thing. We have actually become family, because sure, half of the people that come are new every time, or maybe, I don't know, 1/3, but the others are regulars, right? Some are literally coming every single week. We know these people. We're family.
What do they get out of this experience? Because when we talk about, networking, because so much of what you're saying is like, when we're talking about networking, whether it's for our career or for our business, people, first of all, it's a big step to, like, I'm introverted, and forcing myself to be on camera or to do a podcast is a challenge, right? But it's a step of faith that I'm taking.
You're doing great.
And what do people get from, when we talking about, let's start with just the connection, right?
Yeah.
What do people get from the experience of coming to different networking events? And again, so if you're listening in, take what we're telling you today and apply it to wherever you may be living or whatever your experiences are, right? When people come to these events and they're able to share and build connections with each other, what are they really getting out of this experience beyond just the meet and greet?
So the connections can truly be lifelong. I've seen people get married from meeting at networking events.
Also, it is not only LMS Plus. The plus also means love connection.
Don't put it like that, okay? I don't want creepers at my event. But I've seen people start businesses together. I've seen people actually take next steps from meeting right there in front of my eyes. You know what I mean? And or even just start doing business, start providing services to one another or connect them with somebody else. And for me, that's the most fulfilling part. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I know that just by having this get together, I facilitated people to move on to a next step of whatever it was that they were working on. And it's beautiful. An amazing story that I have from networking, because also it's not only the connections, right? Yeah. All of us are going there and we all have our, of course, networks, but also our backgrounds, our experiences.
Yes.
We learn from one another so much, because there is something that a business owner can learn that can apply to every single other person in that room, even if you're not a business owner. We also have a lot of people who come who are in between jobs and they get hired by the people who are there. So sometimes I'll invite people to come and they're saying, well, I don't have a business. I'm actually not even working right now. And I was like, well, do you want to be working? Because if you come, I promise you, 2 or 3 of those people are currently hiring. And right now, one of the biggest challenges is hiring good people and finding good people.
Yeah, that is so true.
So it's like, it's not just, even for you as a career coach, you should be telling your people that, hey, it's not just for business owners. Go network. Even if you don't have a business, even if you don't have a job, you can find a job just by going networking.
It's because you never know. It's what we said earlier, right? It's about having people that know who you are, know your reputation. So it's like, I know when people listen to like podcasts or read books on branding, you almost summed up a 300-word book with just the statement of, it's about the connections and people being able to connect with you and building those interpersonal relationships. One more question for you when it comes to branding, right? What mistakes do you see that people make when it comes to building their personal brand for themselves and for their business? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you answer that question. And then I'm going to maybe interject from the career coaching standpoint of what I see the mistakes that people make with just their personal career brand, right? On the career side, those working for employers.
Absolutely. I'm going to first say this, and then you'll see why. For everyone here who has not yet read the book, Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown, please read the book, The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. Why I say that is because the number one biggest mistake that anyone can make in networking or personal branding or just going out there and portraying yourself in any way, people come across as fake. People try way too hard to seem professional, to hide whatever quirks they think they have that need to be hidden, and to fit in with who they think they want to fit in with. Right? But that's never the right way, because guess what? You're pretending to be someone you're not, right? And as long as you're pretending to be someone you're not, you are not 100% comfortable with who you are being at that time. And as long as you're not 100% comfortable, people, especially people who are, can tell that you're not.
Yeah, that is so true. Authenticity, right?
Yeah.
When I've seen you post about that, hey, I want to point something out. Sonda owns a business. I own a business. I'm a coach, and she coaches people, right? But we both have coaches. People who want to be better. So in the processes of helping other people, we also hire people and bring in people to help us with our professional brand, because we know that's what it takes to get better, right? Okay. And one of the things that you not only read in this book, but you've also been advised by your coach is the importance of being authentic, right? And being who you are. And I think that's so important. And I'm going to share this.
Mhm.
One of the challenges or reasons that I was always hesitant about starting a podcast is because you can hear the country twang in my voice, right? And I'm not, and my assistant would always be like, hey, you need to get on camera. You need to, people, because you're going to connect with people more when you're on camera, when people really see who you are. And, I just started jumping on camera about 3 weeks ago. And I think that part of the hesitancy is that, I don't like to be on camera because I'm like, I got this little country twang. I'm,
But can I
this
ask
is
you
who
a
I
question?
am, right? But I'm embracing, like, this is who I am. I'm still Dr. Taylor. This is what I sound like. This is just a part of who I am. This is how I grew up. And so it's like accepting yourself for who you are. You can always strive to get better, but there's just some attributes about you that's just a part of who you are.
Why is that something that you thought would take away from your brand?
I just think, when people hear folks from the South, all of the stereotypes and assumptions about us, but here I am, probably got more education. I got
That you guys are nice.
yeah, like I got more degrees than a thermostat, right? I've heard people say, but it's still that intimidation of, right? Okay, this is the way I talk. I have this country twang. I don't speak the Queen's English. But I think what really has helped me is because getting on camera and stepping in front of the lens and saying, okay, I'm going to start with what I got. I don't have the best equipment yet. It'll progress. And I'm going to start this podcast because now I'm really living the things that I'm telling my clients, right? And leading by example, because I'm always saying to jump. And I jump a lot. I mean, hey, this is how we met each other, right? Jumping. And being able to start stuff. But I still find that there are still things that I'm also, when I'm willing to jump, there are still some things that I've been hesitant about that I should have jumped on a long time ago. This is my first go round with doing a podcast. And when I was younger, I didn't really think about it, right? It wasn't really a thing of, I worry about the way I talk or whatever. But as I got older, I became more conscious of it. But then I don't know, like a month ago, I was just like, girl, get over it, okay? You got to start where you are because you're telling clients and telling people to start where you are. And so I would just tell anybody, be authentic, because she's so right, because people connect with that more than if I were to get on here and say, okay, Sonda, like start trying to have a fake accent or whatever. Just be who you are. And that is really, I think that's so true, even on the career coaching side, right? Now, I will say, if you're interviewing for a job or going after for your business, when we say be who you are, it doesn't mean to be like completely off the charts, right? You still got to be professional in how you present yourself or how you build your brand. We don't want you to just be like, well, keeping it real. I mean, keep it real, but keep it also real professional, right? Like, you're not going to be able to change certain things about the way you talk or little things about yourself. But what you can do is you can be your best self. You can be your most professional self. You can present yourself in the best positive light. So I don't want to give the impression that we're saying walk into a building with your pants sagging or looking professional. No, present your best professional self. Start with what you got. Don't feel like in order to kick off that podcast, in order to write that book, that it has to be this has to be the novel, best-selling novel on New York Times. Honey, I have wrote books and sold 3. You know what I mean? You spend all this time writing a book and then it sells. But the point is that you took the step to do it and you were authentic in what you were doing. And so with that, we talked about the power of branding, the power of connections, the importance of being authentic, and what we're both doing in the lanes that we drive in. I always say drive in the lane that you're in, right? In the lanes that we drive in, the areas that we specialize in. And so now I want to take that and talk about the art of the pivot. So I met Sonda, wow, I mean, this probably had to be about 4 or 5 years ago, right? And we've never really actually met in person. But when you first launched your business, you were focused on building a marketing brand in healthcare. And then literally right around that same time, that is when I launched healthcare consulting. And we were both doing the same thing. I was still doing coaching and you were still doing marketing, but we were both in the lane of healthcare. And then we had one other partner who we would meet and work with, right? And if you look all 3 of us up, we've all made a pivot into different areas.
We're like healthcare.
It's like we've all gone into different areas. And I literally look at that experience as like, and we were very serious, right? We were meeting, we had plans and things we wanted to do. But that first go round, and I ran healthcare consulting steadily for about 4 or 5 years, and I took a break, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to relaunch. And initially, when I relaunched as Work Solutions, right, I still put the RX. People see WORX, they see the prescription, right, the Work Solutions, and they think, okay, she just does healthcare. Some people don't even know how to pronounce it, but it is Work Solutions. And initially, I was really just focused on healthcare. Again, that was me relaunching. But then I was just like, I got to branch out. So then this is where you see Career Coach RX and me working with clients one-on-one. So this is what I want to ask you, Sonda. Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide to pivot and go from LMS to LMS Plus? I think I heard you mention it earlier, right? To help their broader base. And what were the challenges associated with that? Like, the doubts you had and also the wins.
So I actually pivoted way more times than people know. Well, I say that, and it's like one more time than what you know, because I started my company in 2016, right? Mm-hmm. In September of 2016, we launched as Leading Management Solutions. And that was because I had just left my father's pediatric practice, which I had been managing. Mm-hmm. My master's was in healthcare management. And so I said, why not go and help all of these medical practices and help them become, more efficient and make money and blah, blah, and help them. And what I didn't realize is that doctors are clearly the smartest people to ever be alive, and they don't need any advice because they're just fine on their own.
Here to serve.
Right?
As somebody who works in healthcare, I definitely hear the sarcasm, right?
My first pivot, and hey, I can say that both of my parents are doctors, right?
I get it. I've been in healthcare 20 years.
First pivot was when I learned that consulting is not something tangible, and it is incredibly hard to sell, right? So then first pivot was, okay, what can I sell these doctors that they can touch, right? So then I started providing services that were incredibly time and labor consuming. And my pitch was now, hey, don't have 40 employees on staff, outsource to me. And then my team will take care of it. We're a business expense. You don't have to worry about employee benefits, blah, 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 blah. We started doing all of the contracting and credentialing and prior authorization.
You went from a marketing company, right?
No. We went from management to service-based.
To service, right? Like the revenue cycle management, all of that stuff, and running the operations.
Then I found myself very, very quickly drowning because my business actually, once we started doing the services, it grew too fast. I had to hire too many people. At one point, I had 22 people under me, and I was less than 1 year in business, and I was in nowhere ready for it, right? I then had to let go of the large client that was taking up all of that, as well as of my team, because guess what? Team gets paid bi-weekly, client pays monthly, right? Was not sustainable for a new business ran by little old me, right? Completely, fully financing myself. It was incredibly hard. So then I said, okay, this is not what's going to work. I'm going to have to do something different. Around 2018, 2019 is when I decided I'm going to start doing marketing. Then I decided I'm going to open up and do marketing, not just for healthcare, but for everyone, because I actually was getting a lot more demand from businesses that weren't in healthcare. And I was like, well, I'm healthcare. And then I'm not going to be healthcare.
A minute to get away from it, right? Like I got my degree in global health. I'm only doing healthcare, right?
Healthcare. But then when I started just doing just general leading marketing solutions, we were still kind of, again, specializing in events, just because events has always been in my blood. When I was 18, I used to throw comedy shows in New York. My best friend and I at 18 would sell out a theater that we would put together. It was amazing. And then we did loft parties. We did all kinds of parties where I almost got arrested one time for feeding alcohol to minors while being a minor, and I had to lie and say it was a birthday party. It was hilarious, but I've always loved events, right? And so the events kind of came back out here, and then I realized that there is such a thing called live marketing. And live marketing is the opposite of digital marketing, right? Because if I need a marketing agency, I can go on Google and type in marketing agency, Ocala, Orlando, whatever. Or if I know someone who has a marketing agency who I know where to find at any time, and I can go and make friends with them, get a better understanding of who they are as a person, get to know them better. I know that they're there constantly. They're not just going to take my money and run away. It's just a different type of connection, right? So it truly, so what I'm saying is I've had to change my business so many times and pivot. And then again, when COVID hit, there was the next.
Oh, you were just getting started in COVID.
Nope. Then we had to do the digital marketing, the websites, the social media, graphic design. It's necessary. Everyone needs it. Businesses need it. However, everyone with a laptop can say they're a digital marketer. The barrier to entry and competition is insane. And a lot of the people that say they know what they're doing actually don't. So then there's actually this really horrible reputation that digital marketing agencies now have, at which point more than half of your initial consultation with a potential client is listening to their horror stories about the previous marketing agencies that they had been working with, right? So again, pivot. I don't even market the fact that I have a marketing agency anymore. When people come to my events, I'm never going to shut down the events, even though they're free events. And truly, I'm just hanging out with friends and volunteering my time for that. But it has helped me grow my network so much. And that network is gold, right? Like literally that network is gold. That social capital that I have built up, they have
social capital.
They have my back through everything. You know what I mean? And through shifting gears, even if I completely laid leading marketing solutions, the marketing side of it to rest, the people that I've met through my events will now be on this journey with me for as long as they want to come along for whatever I've got coming up next, right? Which is now the DanceFit business and
one more thing before we jump to that, because that's going to be the last thing that we're going to focus on. So we've been talking about, so there are like some gems, right, in the things that you're saying. We're talking about the power of branding. You know, you don't, when it comes to branding, it's about you building your personal brand. So again, whether you're working with a business branding organization like Sonda's LMS Plus, or if you're working with a career coach like me for you to climb the corporate ladder, the biggest thing that this has in common is about your network, right? It's about, what did you say? I love that word, social capital, right? You building the social capital so that people can know who you are. And when they see your face, I'm going to tell you a personal mistake that I made. Because, everybody know, if you know me personally, I'm in the military. And, I'm in the reserve. And I met our wing commander. Well, I've been knowing who he was, right? But he didn't know who I was. And we had an opportunity to volunteer together yesterday. And during the volunteering, he looked at me. We were having such a great time talking and laughing. He was like, do I know you? Do I know you? And I was like, you do, but you don't. I said, I've been here for a while, but my personal supervisor has always told me you need to get out and go on base more. You need to network. And I'm like, I'm networking over here, like, I'm doing 1,000 things to keep us operating. But it is that social capital, right? It is the networking. Because I said, gosh, I've been here for like 2 or 3 years. And even though I've done all these great things for my unit in the base, like I need to get out and get to know people. So even I've like continued to make these mistakes, even as a career coach, right? Because I'm so busy networking for the business part of my business that sometimes I feel like, hey, you still got a career going on. You need to network for that part too. So we talked about social capital. We talked about mistakes people make when branding and the power of.
Hold on. Can I say something?
Yeah.
I have a few notes from things you've said before, and then I wanted to say something, but then we moved past. First of all, how you always say about staying in your lane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, but I listen to a lot of her on YouTube. It's spirituality videos. Well, she has a saying that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, it's okay to hit a few people when you're first learning how to drive.
Yep.
And obviously That's not what she's saying, but what she is saying is the same as you don't learn to drive in a parked car. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just like you said, you cannot wait to be perfect. You have to just
You
kind of
just have to go for it.
go.
And to your point and I know you got some other stuff
Yeah.
you want to say, right? Is you not being afraid to pivot, a number of times you've done it, you have jumped so many times, and that's why you've had the success that you had. And I'm gonna let you say what you got to say, and then we're gonna talk about this last pivot, which I guarantee it ain't your last pivot. It's just one of many things you're doing, right? Which is becoming the dancer size queen of Ocala, right? So, what other tidbits of knowledge you want to share with us?
About the when actually going to job interviews, which you said, don't go in there with your pants sagging and don't be to yourself, right? What I want to mention to that is, yes, obviously be professional, but don't stifle yourself as a personality. And here's what I want to say. Even if it's not your business, right? You're going to be working there. You're going to be spending more of your life there than anywhere else.
Sure.
It should be with people that you actually can be yourself around, right? Like, for example, me, I make stupid, dirty little comments and they just come out. Right? Like I hear something funny.
Well, I'm not going to advise my clients to do that.
I just cannot stop myself. Or like I'll sneak in a "that's what she said," and then I'm like, oh God. But see, if I were to ever work with people, even if it's within my own business, but finding partnerships or anyone, right? It has to be someone who has a sense of humor, who understands that it's not all about 100% serious. We can't, we can't have fun. Like that is not an environment that I could ever put myself in and be happy in. And I know that because I've been in those environments. You know what I mean? So even when you're going to an interview, yes, be yourself. Be yourself,
be professional,
right?
I have a lot of young listeners. Be professional.
If you are going in and you see that you have to be their criteria of professional, you have to completely cut out all aspects of your personality. Mm-hmm. I recommend looking for another position.
It is so important. Exactly. I've made this mistake, and I think that's really what you're saying.
Yes,
I want to be careful how we phrase that because we have some young.
That's where I was going. Was the work life
is important. I think that when people go to a job interview, they really forget that you're not just interviewing for the job, but you're also interviewing. You're interviewing the company, right, for yourself. And you have to determine if you're a fit for the company. Now, sometimes to get where you got to go, you might have to play the corporate game, especially if you don't have an experience, whatever. But the more you go up, the more things the more skills and the more value added that you have, you really should be interviewing that organization. At the end of the interview, right, they're going to always ask you questions like, hey, do you have any questions? You should be asking them, but about, their company culture. Things that, you should actually have read up before you even go to the interview. So I just want to distinguish that because sometimes we get jobs just to get them, right? But then, at some point, depending on where you are in your career, you really should be interviewing the company. People forget that. So, this has been a really great podcast. And so we got some, this probably has been one of my longest lasting conversations because I don't have the time limit, but we're getting to the close of wrapping up here. But man, we talked about pivot. You gave some great advice. So let's talk about this other pivot that you're doing and how you're going about the process of branding that. So Sonda, we spoke briefly. She's in the process of pursuing another true passion of hers, which is fitness and exercise, and she is the dancer size queen. So tell us about this new business that you have and and why you're so passionate about this and where people can find information about you, about this new business.
Absolutely. So the new business, and it's not a pivot, it's actually an addition.
Okay.
Because it's different from what I've been doing with LMS Plus, and because I'm still absolutely going to keep doing what I'm doing with LMS Plus. This new business is called DanceFit Wellness. I'm a dancer and also a dance instructor, and I have finally found the perfect home for us. And so it's going to be myself and a few other instructors, and it's going to be all types of group classes, including the dance, which I'll be teaching. We'll be doing fitness classes, which I'm also in the process of getting certified as a fitness trainer once I get through all these logistics of opening the center. But that's in the works. And then also we have martial arts, self-defense, combat. I'm working on getting some music, working on getting some yoga.
This is a total wellness center.
It's a wellness center. And for me, wellness is 360, right? So for me, wellness, that includes mental health and emotional health. And that's where the music comes in and the dance comes in. Because yeah, sure, with fitness, we can keep you guys fit and healthy, and we'll have nutrition classes, we'll have healthy living classes. But the whole concept is, with group classes, we make it a lot more affordable. I spent a fortune getting trained on my dance skills, and I know that it's not feasible for everyone. And a lot of people actually would always come up to me and say, man, I would love to learn to dance, but I just can't afford that. And so here the concept is, by being open pretty much all week, almost all hours, as long as I can find the instructors, of course, and I'll be teaching about half the classes myself. It's going to be starting rates. I'm going to see, of course, how this goes, but starting rates $75 a month. You can access all of our classes, which right now we have 33 classes per week, and you can choose. And so that's pretty much morning, lunchtime, afternoon, evening. We're going to have weekends. We're going to have different types of events. So this way, and then one of my main things is, I'm going to be teaching post-injury rehab classes. So what those are, and why this business is so personal for me, and I'll rewind back real quick. 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Last January is when I started it. So not the January 2022. I launched this business as Dirty Dancercising. I still stick by the name. It was an amazing branding name. People thought I was a stripper. So I recently had to change it to DanceFit Wellness. However, there will still be a Dirty Dancercising class. It's a very cool name. Anyways, January 15th, I taught my first group class, and it was fantastic. And then after the class, I had a hold my beer moment. And I was like, hey guys, let me show you something I've been practicing. And then I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
Oh man.
And so I put myself in a wheelchair. And all of last year, since January, I had been in a wheelchair / on crutches, and I was not able to launch the business. So it was already supposed to have been pretty much 2 years old by now, right? Then when I finally was told that I would need surgery, after they told me I wouldn't need surgery, I had surgery in May. I was told that my maximum recovery time would be 9 months. I'm now going on about 16 months, and I can't run, and it still hurts for me to go up and down stairs. And of course, I'm working on it. But what I'm saying is, my recovery is almost double what I was told it would be. And that's because I couldn't make it to physical therapy. Right. So again, I had my business. I could no longer do a whole lot of the stuff that I was doing because I couldn't walk. I ended up having to sell my car just to keep up with my business expenses. I could no longer make it to physical therapy because Uber one way was $40. And plus, my copay with health insurance was $65 per visit. And I was supposed to be going 3 times a week. It's not feasible. It wasn't feasible. You know what I mean? And that's why now, even though my recovery was the most important thing to me, as much as it could be as a dancer, I couldn't wait to get that. I lost my mojo that entire year that I couldn't move, you know?
Yeah.
But I also understand that that's the reality of it. And I've spoken to many people. A lot of them don't ever get a chance to go to physical therapy. I at least got to go a few times, and then I had to stop. But also, my best friend is a physical therapist. So I had the luxury of asking him, hey, what are some videos? Can you send me some YouTube videos of the types of exercises that will help me build up my knee, right?
Is that what is influencing you to, for this particular business, to make it affordable and accessible? Because I got to pose one more question to you.
Yeah.
You're like building an empire, right? You're helping people with branding. You're helping people. So how are you like managing? I want to say it because we do have to wrap up.
Oh, yeah.
But I got to go 5 minutes over because you're just so
Wait, let me finish. My post-injury classes, they're going to be amazing because it's going to be group classes. Mm-hmm. It's all going to be already approved by physical therapists. I have a medical director who's going to be doing medical clearances for anyone who wants to join those classes. So they're going to know that, yes, it's okay for you to go. And then it's just going to be focused, like post-injury, focus, hips. Post-injury, focus, knees. If you know that you need to work your knees up, you may not have a custom.
So these are actual dancing classes, the post-injury. Okay.
They're not necessary. I'll be using some dance movements just because it's very low impact, but it's not, it doesn't have to be dance unless they want it to be dance. You know what I mean? But it's more just an alternative, an affordable alternative to physical therapy.
Let me get you to quickly answer this question because you're literally building I think I'm going to have you back because you're literally building an empire. But you're running these businesses. I talk to my clients a lot about like holistic wellness because I don't just believe in career coaching, right? I really believe in like when I'm really working with people on mindset that we focus on holistic. How are you balancing? Because people need to hear this, right? Because we started where we are. When we started our businesses in 2016, we started right where we are. We've talked about the art of pivoting. How are you balancing doing what you're doing with LMS Plus and then still building another business, right? And so you're managing to help other people and you're still building. Let me get you to answer that. And then I'm also going to follow that up with just you sharing one more piece of advice in terms of like words of wisdom before we wrap it up today, okay?
Mm-hmm. So when I first realized that I had to start this business, it's not because I said I want to start a second business. It's because I had a photographer tell me that he's going to put me in a leather skirt and my arms were too flabby to be in a leather skirt. And I said, uh-oh. And I started working out at home and I worked out 2 hours a day, literally just dancing with resistance bands and light weights. And I lost 10 pounds in 10 days. And then I was like, holy crap, I have to show other women this. It would be selfish if I didn't. And that's literally it. It's not that I have to balance it. It's that I work out and I dance at home anyways. And so now I'm just going to be doing it, but also teaching other people how to do it. It's what I love to do.
I mean, I think the last sentence is like, it's easy when it's what you love to do. So we've had we've had an excellent conversation, almost 50 minutes here. Let me just get you to share, if you based on this conversation that we've had today, what is like, one tidbit or one piece of wisdom that you could say that would sum all of this up? And then I just want you to also just share, where can people find you, where your social media and all of that, and connect with you.
Absolutely. One piece of wisdom, again, we all start somewhere. And even when we, see people who are a lot further ahead in life, or so it seems, and we think, oh my God, we're never going to be there. And because of that, we're afraid to kind of stake our little claim in the world. That's what stops us. I feel like just throw caution to the wind, be vulnerable, be yourself. It's okay to say, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I will learn. You know what I mean? And it's just that's my best advice. Be yourself, be vulnerable, be authentic. Don't ever pretend to be someone you're not or to know how to do something that you don't know how to do. Because at the end of the day, when that truth comes out, you're going to look a whole lot worse than if you just said, hey, honestly, I'm sorry, I've never done it, but I'll try it if you show me, or I'm willing to learn anything. You know what I mean? Because there are skills that you can always rely on that don't necessarily depend on you knowing specifics for a specific position, right? I may not know how to use this program, but I'm a fast learner. I'm hardworking. I am reliable. I will be there on time every day. I will always be there if you ask me to do extra or whatever, right? So just for career coaching, a lot of people think, well, I don't have experience. Okay, you may not have the specific experience.
Skills, you have hard skills, right?
Exactly. And you have your personality. You have the character that you've built your entire life. So we all have so much more than what we actually give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to sum this up because we do got to wrap up. But I mean, there were so many gems, Sonda, that you dropped today. And I hope that people, when they listen to this, that they really hear the sincerity in your voice and how authentic that you are as a person. I'm saying this from personal experience of knowing you. Again, we've never met in person, but it was just like we both launched a business in 2016, right? And we even tried to come together in a partnership at one time, like I mentioned earlier, but it's just like we understand the ups and downs and challenges of trying to run a business. We understand the ups and downs of trying to, like, starting where you are and then realizing that maybe what you initially envisioned is not going to work for the business, right? So you have to go in a different direction. And then also the art of pursuing your passion, right? And there's something when you're pursuing your passion, it's not a challenge, right? It's something
not work.
And the importance of stressing the importance of being yourself. And there's just so many tidbits that people can learn from listening to this podcast today. And it's really been great to have the opportunity to talk to you and interview you. So
can I end with a story? Here's the people. My name is right there. Literally, the best way to find me is to just find me on Facebook, Sonda Eunus, because on my Facebook is where I post everything. I can put my website in the chat if you want.
Yeah, and it'll also be in because I don't know, like, we're using streaming, so I don't know if it's going to say, but it'll also definitely be in the description.
Yeah, because for my DanceFit website right now, we're going to be launching it this week, so I'll send you that later. But my website for my marketing, it's just LMS-plus, plus.com. But I want to end with this story, and you're going to like it.
Okay.
So there's this thing called Every Door Direct Mail campaigns, right? And that's basically where, let's say you think of postcards, the ones that come and it says resident, not for you. But basically, when you, let's say as a business, want to target a specific zip code or area, and you say, okay, every household in zip code, blah, blah, is going there, right? And then you want to send 1,000 mail pieces. This is an advertising thing, right? But whenever you do it, you have to go to the actual USPS store where you want to send it to, right? I was doing one for an event in St. Augustine, which is about 2 hours up from where I'm at in Ocala. Well, I couldn't drop it off. You have to physically drop them off there for them to be able to do that campaign. So I had to have somebody go and drop off the postcards over in St. Augustine. And then I had set everything up online, or so I thought. And then they're giving her some problem. They're like, no, well, we don't have the correct blah, blah, whatever it is, right? So I get on the phone and I'm like, I know I paid. I know I did this and that. I got the confirmation. I don't know what your issue is. What's going on? I need to get these mailed. She just drove 2 hours. She's going to be driving 2 hours back and she's not taking them with her. And the guy is like, Sonda?
He knew your voice.
He knew my voice. This guy used to work at the USPS or FedEx here in Ocala years ago and somehow remembered me, right? And now he's over in St. Augustine. And just because he knew me, it got mailed out. They were not going to take it, but it got mailed out just literally because he knew me and he made that connection from a random meeting years ago. So I just wanted to end on that because networking, branding, connecting, you never know who you're going to connect with, and just always put your best foot forward.
You never know, like, what type of impression you leave. Hey, this has really been an awesome interview, Sonda. We're going to talk offline for just a moment because I'm having some events that I definitely would love for you to be a part of. But guys, if you're tuning in, whether it was TikTok, Facebook, if you are hearing this on Spotify, this has been a great this has been a great interview, and we're definitely gonna have Sonda back in the future. But take the tidbits and all of the wisdom that she spoke to today and take it and apply it to your own business and your own career. It has really been a pleasure to interview you, Sonda, and I look forward to having an opportunity to do it again in the future. So guys, this is the Career Coach RX podcast. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Career Coach RX. You can follow us on YouTube at The Career Coach RX, and our website is CareerCoachRx.com. We'll have all kinds of great resources to help you build your personal professional brand. Thank you and have an excellent week.